In this episode, we're talking about muscle loss, why it matters far more than most people realize, and how to begin protecting it even if your energy, strength, or capacity are limited. Muscle is one of the body's most important forms of reserve. It helps you move, sure, but it also helps regulate blood sugar, store amino acids, support immune resilience, tolerate treatments and medications, recover from illness, and maintain independence. In many ways, muscle functions like a savings account that the body can draw upon during periods of stress. Today, the important question we're going to ask is, how much strength and reserve does your body still have, and how can you protect it? First, I think it will help us to understand why muscle mass matters so much during illness. Most of us were taught to think of muscle as something that helps us move, and of course it does. Muscle allows you to walk, stand, sit upright, carry things, breathe deeply, chew, swallow, and maintain posture. But muscle is also a major metabolic organ. After you eat, skeletal muscle is one of the primary places your body stores and uses glucose. This means that muscle helps stabilize blood sugar fluctuations and plays an important role in maintaining insulin sensitivity. Unstable blood sugar contributes to fatigue, cravings, shakiness, irritability, inflammation, energy crashes, and fatigue. When muscle mass declines, the body has less tissue available to help manage those demands. So when we talk about preserving muscle, we are not simply talking about strength. We're talking about preserving one of the body's major tools for metabolic stability. The next role of muscle is something most people never think about. Muscle functions as a reservoir of amino acids. During illness, infection, surgery, treatment, inflammation, or injury, the body's need for amino acids increases. These building blocks are required to create immune cells, repair tissue, produce enzymes, maintain blood proteins, and support countless biological processes involved in recovery. If dietary protein intake is too low, or if illness creates a demand that exceeds supply, the body may begin breaking down muscle tissue to access those amino acids. In other words, muscle becomes the body's backup plan. The body is not breaking down muscle because it's making a mistake. It's doing so because it needs raw materials. The challenge is that this strategy comes at a cost. The more muscle that is broken down, the less reserve remains. Over time, that can affect your strength, mobility, immune resilience, recovery capacity, and independence. This is one reason why our previous episode on protein matters so much. Protein provides amino acids from outside the body so that the body does not need to borrow as aggressively from its own tissues. The two conversations are deeply connected. Many people assume muscle loss is caused only by reduced calories or reduced activity or reduced protein intake, but inflammation plays a major role as well. Inflammatory signaling shifts the body towards a catabolic state, meaning it breaks down tissues. It can reduce appetite, interfere with muscle-building signals, impair protein synthesis, and accelerate the breakdown of muscle tissue. Researchers have seen this in conditions such as cancer, advanced heart failure, COPD, kidney disease, and many other chronic inflammatory conditions. This is why telling somebody just to eat more protein doesn't always solve the problem. Food matters, protein matters, of course, but if inflammation remains high, the body may still be breaking down tissue faster than expected. This doesn't mean the situation is hopeless. It simply means the solution needs to address multiple factors at once. Protecting muscle requires adequate protein, adequate calories, inflammation management, appropriate movement, pain relief, restorative sleep, and support for the underlying condition itself. One of the most surprising things we've learned in research about muscle is that the body is constantly deciding how much of it needs to keep. Muscle is highly responsive. It adapts to the signals it receives. So when a muscle is used, the body receives a message that that tissue is necessary. When muscle is not used, the body begins receiving the opposite message. This becomes especially important during illness because reduced movement is sometimes unavoidable. Fatigue, pain, weakness, dizziness, neuropathy, treatment side effects, fear of falling, and a loss of physical reserve can all make movement more difficult. And in many cases, rest is absolutely necessary. But over time, the body begins adapting to whatever level of activity it experiences most often. So when muscles are used less and less, then the body will invest fewer resources into maintaining them and may break them down first if it has increased protein needs that are not being met. This explains why periods of prolonged inactivity accelerates muscle loss even when someone is doing the best they can under difficult circumstances. The answer is not to force exercise that your body cannot tolerate or push through symptoms in an effort to prove you're still strong. Rather, the goal is to provide small, manageable signals that remind the body that particular muscles are still needed. That signal might come from standing up from a chair a few times. It might be a short walk down the hall. It might be pressing your feet gently into the floor while seated. It might be doing a few repetitions with a resistance band, or other simple movements like turning your head side to side, lowering an ear to the shoulder, twisting in your seat, things like that. These actions may seem insignificant, but they communicate something very important. They tell your body that functionality of the muscles still matters and that those tissues are worth preserving. Muscle mass and muscle function are associated with independence, mobility, balance, quality of life, and the ability to recover from physical stress. For someone living with chronic or serious illness, those things matter enormously. The ability to get to appointments, tolerate treatments, prepare meals that are nourishing, move through the house safely, walk outside, enjoy hobbies, spend time with family, or recover from a setback depends less on the number on the scale and more on the amount of physical reserve available. One of the reasons muscle loss deserves attention is that it can gradually create a cycle that is difficult to break. Illness brings fatigue, pain, inflammation, appetite loss, sleep disruption, and reduced activity. As a result, people move less and eat less than they once did. Over time, that combination contributes to muscle loss. As the muscle declines, then everyday activities require more effort. Walking becomes more tiring, stairs become more challenging, recovery takes longer, tasks that once felt routine begin demanding more energy. And as those tasks become harder, people start doing less. That's where the cycle begins reinforcing itself. The encouraging news is that this cycle does not always require a dramatic intervention to begin changing direction. Sometimes the most meaningful changes are surprisingly small. Consuming a little more protein, getting in a little more movement, giving yourself time for more recovery, adding in more support. You don't need to become an athlete. You don't have to begin an aggressive workout program, and you don't need to push beyond what your body can tolerate, because muscle preservation is rarely an all or nothing process. It's an ongoing practice. So here is how to protect and build your muscle starting today. The first step is to pay attention to function, not just weight. Instead of focusing exclusively on the scale, begin noticing how your body is performing in everyday life. Are daily tasks becoming easier or harder? Do you recover from activity more quickly or more slowly? Are you maintaining abilities that matter to you? The second step is to anchor your meals with protein. As we discussed in the previous episode, protein supplies the amino acids the body uses to repair tissue and preserve muscle. If your appetite is poor, start small and focus on consistency rather than perfection. The third step is simple movement to create strength signals. The best movement is not necessarily the most intense movement. It's the movement your body can tolerate and recover from. For some people, that may be a short walk, a seated exercise, gentle resistance training, or even simple muscle contractions performed in bed. The fourth step is to respect recovery as part of the process. Muscles do not adapt during activity alone. They adapt when activity is followed by adequate recovery. Protein, hydration, sleep, rest, and pacing all help support that process. Finally, it may help you to redefine what progress looks like. Progress may not show up as visible muscle gain right away. It may show up as recovering more quickly, feeling steadier on your feet, needing less rest after an activity, and maintaining abilities that once felt like they were slipping away. Before we wrap up, I want to invite you to stay connected beyond the podcast. If you're navigating chronic or serious illness and looking for trustworthy information, practical resources, and a community of people exploring what makes healing possible, I'd love to have you join my email community. That's where I share additional research, healing stories, insights, and updates that don't always make it into the show. You can join for free at therenegadenutritionist.com. Most importantly, it's a reminder that you don't have to navigate this journey alone. So until next time, thanks for listening and go be renegades.